On the morning of January 1st, 2019, paramedics walked into a bathroom and found a 24-year-old man unresponsive in the bathtub. At 5'8" and 187 pounds, he was heavily muscled with extremely low body fat. By all measures, he looked like the picture of perfect health. He hadn't shown any signs of illness the night before. There were no physical injuries to be found. And when the toxicology report came back, it ruled out a drug overdose entirely, finding absolutely no narcotics in his bloodstream. The truth only appeared during the autopsy. The medical examiner discovered that the young man's heart was massively enlarged. Even stranger, when we look at this animated diagram of his coronary artery, the main pipe supplying blood to the heart muscle, it reveals a thick, yellowish wall of plaque, causing a severe 75% blockage. A blockage this restrictive is typically the result of a long-term diet high in saturated fats and processed foods. You would expect to find this level of atherosclerosis in an elderly patient, not an active 24-year-old. Both his girlfriend and colleagues later confirmed he had been using an aggressive regimen of androgenic anabolic steroids, including intramuscular injections of stanozolol, nandrolone, and synthetic testosterone. This single case points to a much larger statistical reality. When you look at professional sports, bodybuilding has the highest incidence of sudden cardiac death. It vastly outstrips high cardio and contact sports like soccer, basketball, and MMA. The extreme physical conditioning achieved by these athletes actively masks an accelerating decay underneath the skin. To understand why a chemical regimen designed to build invincible muscle actually destroys the human heart, we have to look at how steroids function on a cellular level. To make a muscle contract, your brain uses a hardwired electrical signal sent straight through your nervous system. But to make a muscle grow, it needs a different method. Think of hormones like a Wi-Fi signal. The brain broadcasts a chemical message into the bloodstream, bypassing the nervous system to reach specific distant cells. When testosterone reaches a skeletal muscle cell, it docks onto an androgen receptor. Once connected, it triggers the cell to manufacture actin and myosin, the specific protein filaments that stack together to make your muscles physically larger. Your body naturally caps how much testosterone it produces to prevent excessive growth. Anabolic androgen steroids bypass that limit by flooding the exterior of the cells with artificial signals. The receptors are constantly triggered, forcing the cell to rapidly multiply its internal proteins and bulge far beyond its natural capacity. But the heart is also a muscle, and it possesses the exact same androgen receptors as the biceps or the pecs. As the skeletal muscles balloon in size, so does the cardiac tissue. The constant steroid signaling forces the walls of the heart to thicken uncontrollably, a condition diagnosed as cardiomegaly. In extreme cases, a steroid user's heart can weigh 65% more than normal. A heart muscle this massive becomes structurally inefficient. The walls grow too thick to fully contract. Because it can't complete a full squeezing motion, blood pools inside the shrunken ventricles instead of being pushed out into the body, resulting in congestive heart failure. The identical biological mechanism used to build flawless skeletal muscle is simultaneously suffocating the heart's mechanical ability to pump blood. In 2020, the science journal Medicina reviewed the autopsies of 27 athletes who died from sudden cardiac events. They found that over half of them possessed necrotic or dead myocardial tissue. This type of severe internal scarring is normally found only in victims of a prolonged heart attack. This tissue death is caused by chronic oxygen starvation. When an enlarged, inefficient heart struggles to circulate blood, the body cells suffocate. We can verify this starvation by looking at the patient's blood work, which reveals unusually high levels of hemoglobin. Look at this diagram. A physically fit athlete actually requires less hemoglobin because their lungs and heart are highly efficient at moving oxygen. Conversely, a chain smoker's lungs are failing, so their body overpacks its red blood cells with extra hemoglobin to capture whatever air it can. Finding these elevated levels in elite bodybuilders proves their internal systems are starving for oxygen. Structural damage to the heart muscle is only half the story. We still have to account for why a fit athlete had arteries clogged with 75% plaque. Inside the liver is an enzyme called HTL, which is responsible for breaking down cholesterol. When an artificial flood of testosterone hits the liver, it hyperactivates this specific enzyme, releasing aggressive amounts of it into the bloodstream. These overactive HDL enzymes hunt down and violently destroy HDL particles, your good cholesterol. By wiping out the good cholesterol, it clears the way for the bad cholesterol to rapidly stack into a thick, restrictive plaque wall inside the artery. Injecting steroids creates a lethal, dual-threat environment. The user develops a massive, inefficient heart that struggles to contract, desperately trying to force blood through pipes that are rapidly clogging up. With the biological mechanisms behind this level of internal damage so well documented, it raises a question. Why aren't there massive public health warnings aimed at these athletes? The answer is a statistical blind spot. Roughly 2.8, they glorify the visible aesthetic of the drugs, while completely ignoring the invisible cellular rot happening inside their own organs. Young athletes look at these feeds and feel immense pressure to adopt this hyper-realistic aesthetic. They push their bodies past natural limits to chase monetization, lucrative sponsorships, and online validation. Until the systemic realities of this biological shortcut are brought into the light, the digital pursuit of physical perfection will continue to result in sudden, silent tragedies off camera.